Episode 1. Akira is absolutely hauling tail through a city that's basically been painted red, blood, bodies, and straight-up ruins everywhere. The body count is skyrocketing thanks to a zombie outbreak that's spreading like wildfire. It's a total hellscape. Zombies are swarming every nook and cranny, and even choppers are falling out of the sky because a few undead hitchhikers decided to cling on for dear life. But then, tucked away in a corner, there's our guy Akira. Is he panicking? Nope. He's chilling, slurping on cup noodles and watching a zombie flick like it's a lazy Sunday. To him, this cinematic apocalypse is a literal paradise compared to the soul-crushing corporate nightmare he's been living. Picture this. Akira regularly pulls all-nighters until 4 a.m., finally collapsing in a room buried under trash with the heavy dread of, I have to go to work tomorrow, haunting his brain. It all kicked off 3 years ago. Back then, Akira was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed rookie landing a gig at a production company he actually looked up to. He was pumped, ready to give it 110%. On day one, he accidentally bumped into a girl at the office. He helped her pick up her stuff, and boom, he was instantly smitten by her gorgeous smile. That was Sayori from accounting. She even showed him his desk and told him to swing by if he ever got stuck. During the welcome drinks that night, his coworkers were grilling him with questions. See, Akira's the real deal. Ivy League vibes, solid grades, and honestly easy on the eyes. Somehow, though, the guy's never had a girlfriend. Despite his cool exterior, he was a total beast on his college rugby team built on grit and teamwork. But one look at Sayori and his heart was doing backflips. That bright, innocent smile of hers, totally his type. He thought, okay, I can do this. I've got a reason to grind now. But man, that honeymoon phase crashed and burned fast. One minute his seniors were being all friendly and welcoming at the bar, and the next, as soon as the party ended, the vibe shifted big time. It got heavy real quick. Akira soon figured out why. From day one, he was sucked into a never-ending vortex of work. He pulled an all-nighter only to be thrown right back into the blender the next morning. Rinse and repeat. Before he knew it, he was basically living at the office, making the corporate grind his new, unwanted home. After pulling 3 straight all-nighters, our boy finally stumbles home looking like a total wreck. Reality check. He's officially stuck in a sweatshop. He barely gets a few winks before that soul-sucking alarm clock screams him awake again. He tries to gaslight himself, saying, hey, I chose this, let's get pumped, even though deep down he knows he's drowning. The company technically offers paid leave and holidays, but let's be real, those are basically myths. No one has ever actually seen them used. Instead, the staff is grinding away with 150 to 200 hours of unpaid overtime every single month. Akira's senior, a 5-year vet, treats him to a drink because he makes more than Akira. But get this. A quick look at the stats shows this dude is making way below the national average. Talk about a scam. And don't even get me started on the team lead. This guy is a total loose cannon, moody, hypocritical, and literally screams at people until they run out of the room crying. Desks are cluttered with painkillers, digestive meds, and enough jet fuel strength coffee to power a rocket, all just to survive another night of staring at a screen. At this point, getting a stomach ulcer is just another Tuesday in this hellhole. A year flies by, and Akira has normalized not showering for days on end. His coworkers are dropping like flies, quitting left and right, which just means a mountain of extra work gets dumped straight onto his shoulders. Just when he thinks he might catch a break and head home early? Nope. Another all-nighter. The only thing keeping Akira from going absolutely postal is Sayori. She shows up like an angel with a lunch bag because she knows he skipped a meal again. Her kindness is the only tether he has left to sanity. But then, bam, the brutal truth hits him like a freight train. Turns out, Sayori is the CEO's side piece. The walls are paper-thin, and the sounds coming from the boss's private office leave absolutely nothing to the imagination. He wants to quit, but the guilt-tripping is real. He doesn't want to screw over his seniors, and hey, it could be worse, right? At least that's what he tells himself. By year 3, Akira is a literal walking corpse. The president is a total tool, demanding script rewrites for the 6th time over some petty, who cares, nonsense. Akira's head is throbbing, and his manager's voice is like a screeching pig in his ear. Standing at the train platform, looking at the tracks, Akira thinks, man, if I had some poison right now, I'd take the exit ramp rather than face another day of this. If it weren't for those subway safety barriers, Akira probably would have punched his final time card yesterday. Back in reality, the TV is buzzing with news about black companies, places that literally work people to death until they snap. Depression, suicide. It's a grim scene. Even though Akira's soul is screaming, please, don't make me wake up, his body just goes on autopilot, dragging his zombie-like self out the door. He notices an unpaid parking ticket and goes to knock on his landlord's door. No answer. He peeks inside and, holy crap, the landlord is being shredded by a cannibal. Blood is spraying like a busted fire hydrant. The attacker turns around and yep, it's a full-blown zombie. Akira bolts, but he's instantly cornered by a pack of them, and these suckers are fast. If it wasn't for his college rugby days and his daily sprint to the deadline, he would have been toast right then and there. Mid-sprint, some dude swings a door open and Akira eats pavement hard. He scrambles back up instantly, though. Why? Because the only thing scarier than the undead is being late for work. He hits the rooftop with a horde on his tail. Looking out at the city falling into total chaos, it finally clicks. Wait, does this mean I don't have to go to work today? Our guy is on cloud 9. He chucks his ID badge into the abyss and lets out a victory screech like he just won the lottery. He's happier than a kid on Christmas in a horror movie. All that exhaustion, gone. He parkours off the roof, crashes through a shed, and weaves through the alleys like a pro. Yesterday, his world was a dull, grainy black and white film. Today, it's Technicolor. Even the deep red of the blood looks vibrant and full of life. A day off is just that good. Safe for a second on a rooftop, his mind starts racing with all the stuff he's been missing out on. Buying a bike, skydiving, or just spending a whole day pounding beers and watching movies. Then he thinks of Sayori. Office fling or not, he'd rather be Zombie Chow than live another day regretting not telling her how he feels. He hops on a bike and pedals through the madness, burning buildings, trashed temples, and blood-soaked streets. He reaches Sayori's place, heart hammering. He's actually worried she'll think he's a creep. But when he bursts in, he finds the CEO, stark naked and turning into a zombie. Finally, Akira gets to give his resignation speech. He thanks the boss for everything and then yeets him right out a double-digit story window. Turning to Sayori, who's already half-turned, he pours his heart out. It's a tragic confession, but he's gotta go. That night, sipping a drink outside a looted convenience store, he starts his bucket list. 100 things to do before becoming a zombie. Episode 2, back in the day at that hellhole of a company, people with a 100-degree fever weren't even allowed to call out sick. The unspoken rule, if the work isn't done and the deadline's looming, nobody leaves until the last man stands. Akira jolts awake, stammering apologies to his manager for dozing off at his desk. Then he realizes it was just a nightmare. The reality outside is way more intense, but strangely, it's full of hope. Compared to that soul-sucking cubicle, a world overrun by zombies feels like a breath of fresh air. It's chaotic, sure, but at least it's free. For Akira, the office was the true hell. Now in his cluttered apartment, he's chucking trash bags onto the heads of the zombies below, chuckling to himself. After 3 years of living in a dump, he's finally scrubbing, dusting, and hanging laundry. The place actually sparkles. He cracks open a cold one, taking a long, crisp swig. Usually, beer was just a bitter way to drown his work sorrows, but today, it's the sweet taste of freedom, a giant middle finger to his corporate shackles. On TV, Tokyo is going up in flames. The reporters are losing it. Run for your life, sis, they're breaking in. And told you so. Akira checks the fridge and hits a major roadblock. That was his last beer. Even though he promised himself he wouldn't leave the house, he looks down and sees the undead sentries patrolling the street. Nearby, a couple is hugging, convinced they're toast since the cops and the military are MIA. The husband is trying to stay positive, but his wife is a sobbing mess. Suddenly, the guy screams. He sees some kids scaling their balcony. Akira just shrugs. Stairs are full of zombies just taking the scenic route. They offer him a safe spot, but Akira's on a high-priority mission. After a quick intro, Akira zip-ties his gear and pedals off. The zombie count has doubled, and if he gets swarmed, that bike won't save him. But hey, to Akira, being sober is a fate worse than being Zombie Chow. He hits the convenience store, oblivious to a dashcam recording his every move. He's about to hoard all the beer when, holy plot twist, there's a girl chilling there, grabbing a drink. Akira suddenly feels like a total dork for that beer song he was singing in his head. He tries to play it cool, not wanting to freak her out like that couple earlier. But this girl is an absolute ice queen. He chases after her, begging for her number because, hey, survivors are a rare breed. Her verdict: going out for beer in this mess, you've got to screw loose. She's not looking for teammates with zero risk management skills. To her, Akira is a liability who just tank her survival rate. No digits for him. She stays chill even when a few zombies lunge at her. Akira tries to play hero, but she basically body slams him out of the way. Then, bam! A truck driven by a zombie slams right into the storefront. For a split second, they're locked in a cinematic meet-cute amidst the wreckage. The zombies, flattened. Akira's bike, scrap metal, his takeaway. Man, she's cool and gorgeous. Hope I see her again. But hey, when one door closes, a garage door opens. Losing the bike was a blessing in disguise because it's rush hour for the apocalypse. Motorcycles are everywhere with the keys still in the ignition. Akira decides it's time for an upgrade. He ditches a scooter for a beastly heavy-duty bike. He even uses a stray car door as a ramp for some god-tier parkour. Total loss of control? Nah, total freedom. Today is officially a jackpot. He scored the beer, met a total babe, and snagged the dream bike he always wanted. Akira scrambled up to that couple's balcony, ready to invite them for a "the world is ending" drink. But man, it was a total buzzkill. The place was a disaster zone, shattered glass, furniture flipped everywhere, and enough blood to paint the walls. He headed back home to just chill. Cracking a beer and watching the news alone, it hit him. Life is way too short to stress over risk management. He'd spent years making excuses for all the things he wanted to do, and he realized if he couldn't live out his true desires, he might as well be zombie chow. That's when the bucket list of the dead was born. It started with some goofy, honest-to-God dreams, get some sick dreadlocks, go glamping like a king, and hey, being real here, finally lose his virginity. He knocked out 30 items before his brain hit a wall. In that quiet moment, his dad's face popped into his head. Are mom and dad okay? Condition 31, spend quality time with the parents. Suddenly, the list grew up. It wasn't just about cheap thrills anymore. It was about meaningful stuff, hanging with the bros, finding the one, and living a life that actually mattered. Flashback 24 hours earlier. Our mystery girl was already crushing her 6 a.m. cardio. The city was under a total lockdown, internet's dead, phones are useless. The whole country just stopped. After an hour of sweating it out, she downed her supplements and checked her rig. Los Angeles HQ, radio silence. She started her own cold, calculated to-do list. Stockpile food and water, maintain mental grit, train the body, and strictly zero sugar. She even binged zombie flicks for intel. She categorized them into 2 types, walkers and runners. Runners are the real deal. You spot 'em fast or you're dead. She hit the convenience store with her dashcam rolling to scout the area. She spotted some sweets and her heart skipped a beat, but her discipline slapped her back to reality. No sugar. Then she spotted a survivor, some guy rambling a beer song to himself. He looked harmless enough, but man, he was a short-term pleasure kind of guy. Total liability. Sure enough, he lured a whole swarm of zombies to the front door. She watched the monitors, saw a truck losing control, and realized she could use the chaos to make a break for it. Everything was going according to plan until that idiot Akira lunged right into the truck's path. She had to snatch him back at the last second to save his skin. She got her gas, water, and food, plus some solid field research on the undead. But seeing that guy skipping away, genuinely stoked over a single can of beer, it made her low-key regret leaving that sweet treat behind. Episode 3. In a trashed restaurant, a little girl was bawling her eyes out for her parents. Sue, a blonde-haired guy who looks like he belongs in a boy band, leaned down with candy and water. You fought hard enough, kid. You don't have to be scared anymore. His voice was like a warm hug, and the girl finally quieted down. But then an underling whispered, "They're here." Sue is the leader of this crew. He squeezed the girl's hand and made a pinky promise. "I'll be right back. I won't leave you alone for long." Sue and his boys stood up, armed with bottles of booze. They weren't there for a drink. They turned those bottles into fireballs. They swung, they tossed, and they watched the zombies burn. One of Sao's right-hand men got nipped, wishing he could have been one like his leader. The rest, they fought like hell with whatever they could grab. Meanwhile, Akira was cruising toward the neon chaos of Shinjuku. A few hours ago, he realized, no work means I can finally grow a beard. It looked like trash, honestly. He tried to style it based on an old newspaper clipping, but it was a total fail. Bucket list 10, check. Suddenly, his phone blew up with 4 days' worth of texts. The network was back. Akira had spent 3 years ghosting his friends for work, so he started mass texting everyone to go out and get trashed. But after hours of waiting, crickets. The only reason the network was fast was because most of the users were already offline. No friends left to make up for lost time. Then he remembered Kencho, his best bud who always told him to quit that toxic job. Kencho wasn't the type to go down without a fight. Cut to Kencho, trapped in a Shinjuku bar, surrounded by zombie staff, customers, and hostesses. He'd been nursing his last drop of water for 3 days. He was stuck in a room with a monster, but thanks to a drunken mistake where he stumbled into a kinky hotel room earlier that night, he actually had some BDSM gear on hand. He used the restraints to tie the zombie. Kencho was running on empty. His body was failing him, and for a split second he accepted that this grimy bar was gonna be his tomb. It's funny, when you're staring death in the face, your mind drifts to the good times. For Kensho, that meant memories of college with his ride-or-die Akira. He could practically hear Akira's wheezing laugh, the kind that erupted even at Kensho's lamest jokes. Then his phone buzzed. He couldn't believe his eyes. Incoming call, Akira. The contrast was wild. One guy is gasping for air, clinging to life by a thread, while the other sounds like he's on a freaking Disneyland vacation, stoked as hell. When Akira heard Kensho was pinned down in Shinjuku, he didn't blink. "Send me your pin. I'm coming for you, man." Kensho tried to shut it down. Shinjuku was a death trap, but Akira wasn't having it. These two go back 4 years in the rugby club. Akira, the sweet, borderline naive optimist. Kensho, the smooth-talking, handsome devil who could charm the pants off anyone but spent his free time doing naked comedy stunts. Despite the ego, Kensho was the one person Akira trusted with his life. After graduation, Kensho killed it as a real estate shark, rubbing elbows with celebs and dating a supermodel. He'd always told Akira to ditch his black company, but Akira was too paralyzed to move. Their last drink together actually ended in a bitter fallout because of it. Back to Sue, the leader, all his men had turned and he was out of gas. He closed his eyes, ready for the end, whispering an apology to the little girl he'd promised to protect. But suddenly, honk! A continuous, blaring noise pulled the horde away. He cheated death by a hair. The zombies swarming Kensho's bar heard it too and beylaid. Turns out Akira had jammed a rugby ball onto a car horn. Kensho crept out, heart in his throat, and nearly jumped out of his skin when Akira tapped his shoulder. He couldn't believe his idiot friend actually showed up. Akira immediately started blubbering apologies for not listening sooner and admitted he was just jealous of Kensho's success. He literally rode into an apocalypse just to say, "My bad." But his loud mouth lured the zombies back. They hauled tail to the roof. Kensho barricaded the door with AC units, but they were paper-thin against a mob. That's when Akira pointed to the next building. "We gotta jump." "Are you insane? That's a death leap," Kensho yelled. But Akira's eyes were dead serious. He took a massive 40-yard dash, ignored the screams, and yeeted himself across the gap. He landed hard, bloody, and bruised, but he made it. Kensho stood at the edge, gulping. "Sorry, bro, I can't do it." Facing the end, the mask finally slipped. Behind the fancy suits and the model girlfriend, Kensho confessed he was miserable. He'd spent years faking smiles and sucking up to clients just to close cold, heartless deals. He was empty inside, a loud-mouthed fraud. Through tears, he admitted his real dream, to be a stand-up comedian. He just wanted to make people laugh for real, like back in the rugby days. "Then just quit that job and be a stand-up comic. It's not too late," Akira roared. That was the spark Kensho needed. He took a massive 40-yard dash and, in true Kensho fashion, stripped buck-naked midair to shed his old life. Akira was dying of laughter, but the jump fell short. Kensho barely caught the ledge with his fingertips. Man, I was shaking for the guy. A thought flashed through his head. Am I seriously gonna die naked like this? Within seconds, his grip slipped, but bam, Akira snatched his arm just in time. Akira hauled his buddy up, and Kensho let out a pathetic shriek of pain. "Well, no duh. Maybe wait until you've actually landed before getting naked next time, you moron." Later, the two of them sat on the roof, totally nude, sharing a drink and catching up. "Akira, for real, you were a total badass today," Kensho mused. "You're gonna be the guy who saves the world." But hey, that's just a comedian's joke. Episode 4. Akira is busy popping zombie skulls like a total badass, well, in a video game at least. Meanwhile, Kensho is showing off his chef skills, whipping up a massive plate of seafood fried rice with a secret ingredient that blows Akira away. He can't help but roast Akira. "You can't even cook, man. How are you gonna land a girlfriend?" Stung, Akira fires back. "Watch me. I'll find one today." Kensho flips through Akira's bucket list of the dead and scoffs at item 9, group date with flight attendants. Talk about delusional, he thinks. Quitting a black company really messed with this guy's head. Seeing only 33 items, Kensho adds his own, become a stand-up comic. If Akira hadn't saved his skin, Kensho would have rotted in that love hotel. The duo hits the road to score a jumbo TV for Akira. Kensho's stressed. Becoming a comic usually takes years of school or a talent agency. Akira asks why he's so hooked on the dream. Turns out, Kensho's been obsessed with comedy since he was a kid. This makes Akira wonder, what was my dream? Was it really that soul-sucking company? Suddenly, a zombie firefighter blocks the road, right in front of the electronics store. To make matters worse, a runaway tanker truck is barreling toward a fire nearby. One crash and kaboom. Remembering the Ice Queen's cool moves, Akira guns the engine. Kensho turns pale, realizing his buddy is about to do something insane. Too late to stop him. Akira speeds toward a pile of wrecked cars, weaves through the debris, and launches off an overturned vehicle just as the tanker hits. The explosion is massive. They cleared it by half a second. While Kensho is screaming his lungs out in pure terror, Akira dives into a basement garage to escape the blast. But surprise, the place is crawling with zombies. They bolt for a nearby store, slide through a gap in the shutter, and slam it shut, nearly taking off a few undead fingers. A voice from the dark asks, "You guys clean? No bites." It's four survivors looking totally hopeless. Kensho tries to play it cool. "Relax, they'll leave soon. Plus, we're in a supermarket. We've got plenty of snacks." Everyone calms down and gathers for a meal to introduce themselves. Akira's eyes light up. Wait, is this a group date? There are 5 of them, minus the guy in glasses who's too traumatized to care. Kensho intros them as college buds, while the girls reveal their co-workers who just flew in from Lowe's Angels. The boys are floored. These girls are flight attendants. To Akira, they're the pinnacle of glam and class. He's already picturing luxury flights, fancy cocktails, and soaring through the sky. Bucket list item 9, checked. But that joy didn't last long. The vibe was instantly shattered by a deafening pounding on the doors. A swarm of zombies was outside, frantically clawing at the walls and shutters. The bone-chilling sound made everyone's skin crawl and their hearts skip a beat. Amidst the panic, only one girl stayed tough. She calmly stood up to grab more booze, completely ignoring the terrifying monsters scratching just inches away. Akira, on the other hand, was a total wreck. For the first time in his life, he was on a group date with the flight attendants of his dreams, but nobody was in the mood to party. Fear hung heavy in the air. Everyone's eyes were darting around, avoiding eye contact. The fun was dead on arrival. Akira felt even more awkward because his whole life had been nothing but sports clubs and then drowning in office paperwork. His game with women was a straight-up 0. He struggled, racking his brain for a topic, any topic, to break the suffocating silence. Finally, he approached one of the girls and blurted out, "So, do you have a boyfriend?" She shot him a look of pure disgust, and just like that, it was over. He glanced over at Kensho, and the guy was already getting physical, smoothly leading the conversation and talking about their hometowns. They were already hand in hand, face to face. Akira couldn't lose the bet he made this morning, so he decided to go big. He started snorting his drinks. Suddenly, the way everyone looked at him changed, and one of the girls burst out laughing. Not to be outdone, Kensho stripped naked and started a naked circus dance. Finally, the room was actually popping. Later, Akira had to hit the restroom to puke his guts out after that stupid stunt. To his surprise, the girl from earlier followed him in to ask if he was okay, her eyes full of kindness. Meanwhile, Kensho had already lured his girl into a dark corner. And the real reason that guy in glasses had been huddled in a corner the whole time, he'd been bitten on the leg. Akira felt a spark of hope while the girl rubbed his back. Feeling a bit better, he listened as she began to vent about how miserable life as a flight attendant really is. The hours are endless, her back is constantly screaming from standing all day, and the dry cabin air ruins her skin while she struggles to maintain a perfect body. But just seconds later, her misery was solved. The guy next to her turned into a zombie. And get this, the guy actually went out feeling lucky in his final moments. A scream rang out, making Kensho jump out of his skin. His girl, though, was unfazed. She kept demanding one more round right then and there. When Akira finally felt stable, the girl seemed genuinely relieved. He saw a glimmer of hope and asked, "Why do you care about me so much?" Turns out, seeing Akira chug a whole bottle through his nose made her think he was just as desperate and broken as she was. And as for his earlier question, yeah, she did have a boyfriend, and she was only staying positive because she wanted to live to see him again. Talk about a punch to the gut. Kensho and his tipsy girl ran back to check on the scream, only to find the other attendant had already turned and was lunging to bite the next girl. Kensho reacted fast, grabbing a suitcase and smashing her head so hard her brains flew out. Even though she was a zombie, it was his first time taking a life, and he felt sick about it. In the middle of it all, Akira sat with his girl and talked shop. Turns out they were 2 of a kind, both totally burnt out after 3 years of the grind. She endured the hellish work for the safety of the passengers, but just the other day, because of a delay, some jerk yelled at her. "You're nothing but a flying maid." That was it. She realized, who am I even doing this for? But then she sighed, then again, it's my own fault. I chose this path. Then it was Akira's turn to vent about his own black company, and man, it was like they were looking in a mirror. But he told her, if being a flight attendant was your dream, then who cares what some cranky old jerk thinks? Those words seemed to wake up something deep inside her. But just as the mood got heartfelt, things turned grim. The zombie guy from earlier lunged out of nowhere and bit her in a split second. Neither of them could react in time. Akira was horrified by her scream and scrambled to save her. He punched the zombie, sending it tumbling away. But it was too late. She'd been bitten right on the neck. She begged Akira to run, but he couldn't just leave. There was still so much they hadn't said to each other. They held each other tight, and she shared one last memory. Back when she was a kid, she felt sick on her first flight. A flight attendant had gently rubbed her back, just like she did for Akira. That one act of kindness sparked her dream. Even after everything, she realized she still loved her job. Akira broke down in tears, realizing he wanted to find a dream that felt that real too. With a final smile, she shoved him toward the exit and joked, "Today really did feel like a group date." Akira ran out, sobbing his eyes out, only to find a hilarious but tragic sight: Kensho being chased by a zombie while somehow lugging a massive jumbo TV. Akira tried to mask his grief with a laugh at his buddy's antics, and the two sped off on the bike. Two more items checked off the list, but Akira's vibe was totally different now. The cheerfulness was gone, replaced by deep thought. He remembered that both Kensho and that girl had dreams they truly cared about. He picked up his pen and wrote down the next item on his list: "Remember my childhood dream." Episode 5. Back when he was a kid, Akira was a total pitbull. He once bit down on an upperclassman's arm and wouldn't let go until the bully apologized for picking on his friend's weak little puppy. Since then, he'd always dreamed of being a superhero, the kind who punishes evil and stands up for justice. But that was just a dream. When he woke up, he was back in the brutal reality of a nationwide zombie apocalypse. Nowhere was safe, from the big cities to the quiet countryside, though some mountain villages managed to block off their tunnels to keep the monsters out. Knowing his hometown was tucked deep in the mountains gave him a little peace of mind. Life up high is a grind now. To get water, they have to risk their necks climbing onto the roof just to bucket it up from the tanks below. Watching Akira do whatever the hell he wants inspired Kensho to stop sitting around. As a way of announcing his dream to be a stand-up comic, he dyed his hair a blinding neon yellow. If you're gonna do it, you gotta make an impression, right? Suddenly, Akira drops a bombshell. "I want to be a superhero." He'd remembered his childhood dream of wearing a sick suit and saving people, so being a hero of justice in a zombie world seemed like the move. Kensho wanted to be supportive, but he had to keep it real. Life isn't a movie, man. The only flicks you can pull off in real life are adult films. But Akira was dead serious. He'd researched zombie counters and found exactly what he needed at the aquarium. The place was a wreck, dead fish everywhere, and a zombie shark that looked absolutely foul. In the back, he found a specialized diving suit and immediately spray-painted it. Meanwhile, out on the streets, a bus got swarmed and stuck. One guy turned, bit the girl next to him, and pure chaos erupted. A schoolgirl scrambled for her life, sobbing, "I don't want to die." She made it to the aquarium, but tripped. A runner zombie was closing in fast. Right then, a guy in a superhero suit lunged out and kicked the zombie clear back. "Run, kid! Superhero Akira is on the job!" Kensho gave a half-hearted, "Yeah, you look like a hero, buddy," just to keep his spirits up. The suit was actually a shark-proof diving outfit made of titanium and reinforced steel mesh. If a great white can't bite through it, a zombie's teeth don't stand a chance. A group of survivors followed the girl in, and Akira ushered them to safety. And who does he run into? The Ice Queen from the convenience store. Talk about destiny. The runner zombie lunged again, and Akira blocked it just to show off for her. But oof, the zombie clamped down on his arm. Even though the teeth didn't break skin, the crushing force hurt like a mother. After a long struggle, Akira finally shoved the zombies into the water. He checked the girl's expression, but she looked totally unimpressed. Man, being a hero is hard work. With everyone safe, the schoolgirl burst into tears. Akira turned around and saw the gorgeous Ice Queen back on her phone. Kensho nudged him. "Yo, go talk to her, man. This is your chance." Akira summoned every ounce of courage he had and approached her. He managed to squeeze out a, "Hey, we meet again." But man, it was a total gut punch. She had absolutely no clue who he was. After he reminded her of their meet cute at the store, she asked him point blank, "What do you actually get out of saving people?" She didn't hold back, basically psychoanalyzing him on the spot. Only people with zero self-confidence or an inferiority complex mimic the clothes and actions of their idols. In other words, people who feel worthless in society have this desperate urge to play hero. Kensho lost it. "Hey, lady, be a little less cold-blooded, okay? My bud here just saved a ton of lives." But she wasn't done. She launched into a massive, super complex lecture about his lack of logic. While Kensho was busy arguing with her, Akira actually started thinking she had a point. Playing hero could seriously hurt the people closest to him. She ended the conversation with a cold. Teaming up with someone who can't manage risk will just tank my survival rate. Phone number request denied, part 2. Suddenly, the whole building started shaking like crazy. Akira and Kensho ran to check it out, and in a dark corner, they saw water bursting out. What emerged was a total nightmare, a zombie shark with 6 freaking legs. It was hideous. They bolted, screaming for everyone to get out. Akira's hero brain was short-circuiting. What would a hero do? But then more zombie fish started spilling out of the tanks. Okay, forget the hero stuff, just run. It turns out the legs were actually zombie divers the shark had eaten. They were poking out of its belly like twisted human limbs to move the shark across the floor. Just as they were escaping, the undead outside broke into the aquarium. The leggy shark lunged and started munching on the other zombies, which was a total freak show. The only way out was the emergency exit. Shizuka and Akira ushered everyone toward it, but the schoolgirl from earlier was losing her mind with fear. She panicked, grabbed Shizuka, and shoved her straight to the ground to save herself. The door slammed shut just as the shark lunged. Everyone was safe, except Shizuka was trapped on the other side. The girl just kept whimpering, "It's not my fault, it's not my fault." Kensho tried to pry the door open, but it was dented and jammed tight. Then he realized Akira had already vanished. Inside, Shizuka faced the shark and sighed. "Yep, this is exactly why I hate group projects." But right then, Akira burst out from a wall vent and tackled the monster. She stared, eyes wide. "Are you insane? Why would you save me?" Akira's answer. "It's just a natural reaction. When you're hungry, you want to eat. When you see a cute girl, you want to be friends. And when someone's in trouble, you want to be a hero." She asked for his plan, and he admitted he had zero. He was just winging it on instinct. She told him she had a plan that sounded crazy, but it was their only shot. Kensho had climbed up to a high vantage point. He wanted to jump down and help, but his legs were shaking so hard he couldn't move. Akira's job was to distract the beast. It even smashed another tank, sending zombie fish flying everywhere, nearly nipping him. Shizuka's plan was scientific. Sharks have a sixth sense, electroreceptors, to find prey by sensing tiny electrical pulses. If they could hit that sensitive spot with a massive jolt, it would fry its nervous system. She ran off to find a power source. Akira got slammed around until his mask flew off, leaving him paralyzed on the floor. Right then, Kensho found his voice and started taunting the shark. He even CH-1ED1NG mooned the monster to get its attention. He got a little too hyped, almost fell off the ledge, and started screaming, "Please don't eat me." The duo finally bought enough time for Shizuka to return. She tossed Akira 2 high-voltage batteries. Would they be enough for a giant shark? No clue. It was a total Hail Mary. Akira grabbed the batteries, lunged, and punched the shark's head with everything he had. A massive electrical discharge blasted the water everywhere. The shark hit the floor, its legs still twitching. Kensho jumped down to celebrate with his superhero bro. Afterward, Akira tried to be cool and just leave. Real heroes don't stick around for the applause. Shizuka was heading out too, since she was only traveling with that bus group temporarily. Kensho tried to play wingman, suggesting she and Akira made a great team. Akira tried to invite her to join them, but she shut him down so hard it was embarrassing. "You guys live for what to do before you die. I live for what to do to stay alive." Our survival styles are polar opposites. You almost got your best friend killed for a stranger. No way I'm joining you. But Akira looked her in the eye and said, "Well, to me, you're already someone important." That actually made her D-stroke letter 1 ECF, letter 1 EEDNG, M letter 1 EB7T blush hard. She told him she was looking for a sustainable place to survive in the country. Then she surprisingly showed him her QR code. "Here's my contact info." Not like we'll ever see each other again anyway. Akira finally got her name, Shizuka, and he was officially smitten. After 3 years in the Tokyo rat race, he'd had enough. It was time to head home to the countryside and show his parents he was finally happy. Akira stood there, eyes practically glued to the price tag, blinking in disbelief. He was holding a solid gold watch, the kind of piece he couldn't have afforded in 10 lifetimes at his old black company. Now it was just sitting in his palm. Kensho, not to be outdone, dug up another one. We're not talking 6 figures here. This thing was pushing 8 figures. The two of them decked themselves out in designer labels, looking slick and glossy from head to toe, and struck a pose for a photo to mark the occasion. Bucket list item 15, officially checked. But that taste of the high life was a flash in the pan. Reality crashed the party pretty fast. The water went dry, the power grid blinked out, and even the internet was a ghost town. "Man, for all we know, it's just the two of us left in this whole city," Kensho joked, but it sent a legitimate chill down Akira's spine. With the zombie count outside skyrocketing, hunting for food and water was becoming a nightmare. Akira sat there, staring into space, thinking maybe he should just head back to the sticks and try farming. At least he'd have a meal. Or maybe he'd have to find some other job just to survive. Wait, am I really thinking about working again even in an apocalypse? He looked up, and the Tokyo skyline looked eerily gorgeous against the ruins. It hit him with a wave of nostalgia, reminding him of peaceful childhood picnics with his folks where everything felt so calm. The next morning, they started packing. Kensho was trying to be practical, bringing just the essentials, while our boy Akira, the absolute legend, was dead set on bringing a freaking water gun. Kensho was more worried about his lucky underwear, hoping he might score a night with a beautiful survivor. Walking back through the room he'd lived in for 3 years, Akira said his final goodbyes. Peace out to his college days, screw you to the Black Company, and bye-bye Tokyo. It's a 3 to 4 hour trek to his hometown, if nothing goes sideways. For a haul that long, Akira had his heart set on a camper van. A mobile home with a kitchen, a bathroom, and cozy beds so they wouldn't have to worry about zombies while they slept. When they hit the dealership, it was like destiny. They ran into Shizuka again. Akira jumped at the chance to invite her along, but she shut him down cold. Traveling with you guys is a death wish. Every man for himself is the only way to stay alive. Turns out she'd researched RVs because of zombie movies. Not that she likes them, mind you, she's only seen about 100 of them. Akira's eyes lit up because they were totally on the same page. After she rejected him for the nth time, Kensho played his trump card. Shizuka didn't have a driver's license. She finally had to fold. The RV Expo was a playground. Akira could have spent all day staring at everything from crane-equipped rigs to tea ceremony mats and built-in hot tubs. Shizuka, true to form, was all about efficiency, analyzing technical specs with professional-grade knowledge. Finally, she found a practical one, but the boys, they were drooling over an 8-figure luxury beast. The interior was insane. They were ready to lock it in, but there was a catch. It was too huge to navigate the wreckage on the roads. Akira pivoted to a pop-up tent model, but Shizuka shut that down. The walls are fabric. You're basically just a snack in a tent for zombies. The boys hated her choice, zero camping vibe. Kensho roasted her. If you only choose things for efficiency, life gets boring fast. Admit it, you have a dream rig too, don't you? Her ice-gold facade finally cracked when she saw the one. It was like she found her soulmate. A water hyacinth wicker sofa set, dark fabric accents, indirect lighting, and an interior that looked like a 5-star resort in Bali. The guys could read her mind like an open book. She tried to play it cool. It's not like I like it or anything. We just need to prioritize safety and functionality. They were talking so loud they didn't notice the horde surrounding them. The 3 of them scrambled into the nearest rig and floored it. Akira and Shizuka shared the RV while Kensho rode his heavy-duty bike. The usually jammed highway was now eerily silent. Shizuka speculated that this was a viral outbreak, something that hijacks hormones and the brain to turn hosts into monsters. She was already theorizing about transmission and cures. If we get a vaccine, no virus is unstoppable. Akira realized then that somewhere out there, people were still fighting to save the world. The sun was dipping low into a bloody orange sky when, bam, the RV hit a strip of spikes laid out across the road. The tires shredded instantly, the van swerved out of control, and Kensho was catapulted onto the asphalt. He took a brutal tumble, skin scraping against the road, bleeding out from everywhere. Suddenly, 3 massive buses pulled up, cutting off any escape, and stepping out like some budget-brand dictator, Akira's old manager. Skipping work, are we? What the hell are you doing out here instead of at your desk? He barked. Immediately, the trauma hit Akira like a freight train. He could practically hear the guy slamming the desk until it rattled, screaming his lungs out because some project wasn't finished. Back then, if Akira tried to explain even one tiny thing, the guy would blow a fuse. Since when did you get the right to talk back to me, huh? The guy was a certified corporate psycho. Akira's response was pure slave instinct. His stomach started churning, his throat tightened until he could barely breathe. Seeing the shredded tires and Kensho's mangled, bloody leg, the manager played the good guy and offered a hand. His rest stop had it all: food, fresh tires, and a full medkit. Akira was drenched in cold sweat, his hands shaking so hard he couldn't even form a sentence. He actually started tearing up, thanking the man. Sure thing, the manager smirked, as long as you come back to work as my little subordinate. Akira choked on his words, sweat pouring down his face. Shizuka saw right through the BS. This creep was intentionally setting traps to hijack travelers and turn them into forced labor. In this lawless world, he was the judge, jury, and executioner. The noise lured a swarm of zombies. The manager pressured him. "Just work for me for 2 days, that's a fair deal, right?" Akira was trembling, his eyes darting back and forth like a trapped animal totally cornered. Finally, he bowed his head low. I understand." Just like that, Akira was back in the office. Only now it was a labor camp. His mission, hauling heavy crates and fortifying the metal fences. Everyone there, old folks, women, even kids, was being worked to the bone. Akira turned pale every time the manager clapped him on the shoulder, whispering sweet nothings that felt like death threats. While Shizuka patched up Kencho, Akira spent the day in a world of pain, his hands numb and his back ready to snap under the weight. Trying to be the nice guy, Akira tucked a crate of beer into the fridge so everyone could have a cold one after grinding under the scorching midday sun. Big mistake. The manager appeared like a demon. "Did I give you that order, Akira?" Akira tried to explain, but his throat seized up and his head started spinning. The creep screamed about wasting precious electricity on the laborers. But then his other lackeys walked in. Thinking the boss was treating them, they cheered. The manager gritted his teeth, forced a fake smile, and lied through his teeth. "That's right, I wanted to treat everyone for their hard work." He looked back at Akira with a "we'll settle this later" glare that promised pain. Then Akira saw something that turned his stomach. The manager was using zombies as pack mules to pull a massive truck. "They're just parts, Akira, and so are you. You're just a piece of hardware. All you do is follow my lead. Got it, you worthless piece of junk?" These parts were worked until they broke, fed cheap, warm beer, and given a cold one only as a rare treat to keep them compliant. Kencho couldn't wrap his head around why Akira was being such a pathetic doormat for a former boss. But Shizuka saw her own past in Akira. She remembered herself as a little girl, clutching a teddy bear while a man screamed at her. She felt his pain. She knew that when fear is branded onto your heart, your soul stays paralyzed even when your brain knows you're being screwed over. Episode 7. Flashback to a rainy day, pouring buckets. A young Shizuka is walking home when she finds a tiny, abandoned puppy shivering in the mud. She can't leave it, so she brings it home only to get a cold-blooded welcome from her father. "What do you plan to do with that pathetic, weak stray daughter of mine?" he barks. "You have a duty to stand above the rest. Don't waste your time on useless things. Only do what helps you win, or you're no better than that dog, ready to be tossed out." Back to the present, the party is in full swing. The manager is wearing his fake-ass smile, pretending to toast everyone for their hard work. Some of the guys are sitting around talking trash. One creep admits he's dying to hook up with a female zombie because she's totally his type. He's just terrified one bite will turn him. Meanwhile, Akira is playing the servant, hauling beers until he's so exhausted he drops the tray. He can't stop bowing, stuttering apologies over and over. An old lady approaches to pour a drink for the manager, but he shoves her away so hard the bottle shatters. "Only the young ones pour for me," he snarls, ordering Shizuka over. As she pours, the old pervert gives her the creepy eye, licking his lips while staring at her chest. "Don't play the good girl with that water. Take a swig of beer and loosen up." When Shizuka stays silent, he snaps. "What, you're too good for a drink from your superior?" She's forced to chug it. The look on his face says he wants to force-feed her something else next, then he screams at Akira for more beer. Terrified, Akira accidentally hands him an empty bottle. The manager loses it, smashing the glass. "Who fixed your ride? Who patched up your buddy and gave you a safe place to crash? You shut your mouth and do as you're told." Since she was a kid, Shizuka's brain was hardwired for one thing: success. She obeyed every command until she felt like her real name was Must. Her father was a shark, a cold-blooded financial executioner who built an empire in the States and made even the Americans tremble. He demanded perfection. She'd hidden that puppy coo in the attic because he only made a little cuckoo sound. She'd hidden him away, nursing him with medical books when he wouldn't eat. When he finally took a bite, she cried tears of joy, cuddling him all night. She dreamed of being a doctor, but her dad crushed it instantly. "There's no money in that, just lawsuits. You don't lead people by being a medic. Oh, and about that thing in the attic, I called animal control to dispose of it. You live under my roof, you follow my rules." Shizuka was left sobbing over her dog's toys. No friends, no boyfriends, only high-status matches. It was always must, must, must. Back to Akira. He's getting ripped a new one for dropping supplies. "Do you have any idea how much you've cost me? You're lazy, stupid, and a drain on society. Working for me for a lifetime wouldn't even cover the debt." Then he switches to the good cop gaslighting. "But hey, I'm a nice guy. I can't abandon you. I'm only hard on you because I want you to be better. Why go back to that dangerous world worrying about food and sleep? It's exhausting. I don't want you to go through that. Just follow my lead and you'll never have to think again. Stay here forever. It's for your own good." This triggers Shizuka's trauma. She remembers her dad saying, "Look at those poor losers doing whatever they want. Don't be like them. Obey me." He just didn't want her embarrassing him. While everyone finishes, Akira is stuck with overtime. Shizuka finds the guy's 100 things to do bucket list. She reads through it, smiles, and adds one item of her own. The next morning, the manager's lackeys are loading gear, unaware a zombie has been hiding in their truck for 2 days. Shizuka and Kencho announce they're leaving, but Akira stands there like a ghost. I'm staying here to work for the manager." The gaslighting worked. Akira is a hollowed-out puppet. "It's too dangerous out there. Someone like me won't make it." Kencho tries to shake some sense into him, but Akira is gone. Shizuka cold fronts him. "Fine, he stays, we go." But then Akira mumbles about owing the manager, and Shizuka finally snaps. "The man you're ready to die for? He just wants you to submit," she spits. "He wants to hijack your freedom, your will, and your soul. He's actually a pathetic coward who plays big by tearing others down. He's using you to feel powerful. I used to be just like you, Akira, but thanks to you, I'm finally awake. I'm never giving myself up to anyone ever again." Shizuka was done with that human trash. She handed Akira his list, pointing to her new entry. "Tell your shitty boss exactly what you want to say." The manager snatched the notebook, and threw it in the dirt, raising his boot to stomp it into oblivion. Akira, suddenly snapping out of his dazed trance, saw the pages. He saw the dreams he'd already checked off, and the memories hit him like a lightning bolt. Before the boot could land, Akira dove into the mud, shielding the book with his own body. He stood up, eyes finally clear. "Thank you for everything you've done for a guy like me," he said, steady as a rock. "But I'm done. I'm cutting ties, and I never want to see your face again. I'm sorry I can't repay the debt you think I owe you." The manager tried his gaslighting, good cop routine, desperately trying to lure his slave back into the cage. But Akira shut it down. "I'd rather be zombie bait than live like a corporate zombie under your thumb, never doing what I want." Right then, chaos broke loose. A zombie hidden in a truck for 2 days lunged out, biting a lackey. The driver panicked, slammed the gas, and plowed into the trailer. Crack! The ropes snapped, releasing the zombie-pack mules. Everyone scrambled for the roofs. The manager's true colors finally showed. He was running in circles, shitting himself, and wailing like a stuck pig. Akira didn't hesitate. He took charge, calling out to the supply team. The manager tripped, falling right in the path of the horde, crying like a baby. Just in time, Akira roared up in a food truck. "Get in!" he barked. Even after all the abuse, he couldn't just watch a man get eaten alive. They encircled the area with 4 trucks, hissed open the propane valves, and Akira tossed a firework as he jumped clear. Boom! The explosion turned the horde into ash. The survivors hailed Akira as a hero, and even Shizuka gave him a real, beautiful smile. "You always overdo it, don't you?" she teased. The manager stood up, brushing off the soot, trying to reclaim his throne. "See, my employees are top-tier examples. Now everyone get back to work and follow his lead." But the baseball team shot him down. "We're done. You use people while you never lift a finger yourself." Everyone else followed suit, taking the supplies they'd risked their lives for. The manager was left alone, spinning in circles and sobbing like a broken toy as his world crumbled. Later, Akira felt lost. "My mind went totally blank in front of him. I'll probably never find a job that fits me." Shizuka gave him a look of pure comfort. "There's no rush, Akira. There are thousands of paths out there. Just keep doing what makes you happy. One day you'll find the one job that only you can do." Episode 8. Another day, another box checked. Paddleboard yoga. Level mastered. They were just an hour away from Akira's hometown when they hit a roadblock, a swarm of geeks surrounding a car with a blown tire in the middle of the road. Akira saw his chance to play hero, jumping out in his suit to drop some deep justice lines. But before he could even start his monologue, the car door flew open. A figure in full samurai armor stepped out, slicing a zombie clean in half. This warrior wasn't just a beast with the blade. The archery skills were top-tier too. In seconds, the street was a graveyard for the undead. Who's the hero and who's the fan now? Samurai turned out to be Beatrix, a stunning German girl obsessed with everything Japan. She's traveled all this way just to soak in the culture, armor and all. She was on a mission to deliver fresh fish to Takasaki, but her tire gave out. Shizuka and Kencho were hesitant. It's a risky detour to a remote, backwoods area. Enhung Beatrix's backstory hit hard. She'd spent years saving every cent from part-time jobs just to see Japan, only to land right in the middle of the apocalypse. Her goal, to find the last legendary sushi chef. He promised her the meal of a lifetime if she brought the fish. Akira, being the vibe-driven guy he is, felt her passion instantly. "Screw the risk, we're delivering that fish if it kills us." The sushi spot was tucked away in a deep alley. It had been 3 days since Beatrix last called, so they prayed the chef was still kicking. The streets were crawling with zombies, so they used Kencho's backside as bait to lure them into a trap. Akira boxed them in with the RV, and Beatrix went to work, carving through the horde like a pro. At the next zone, they herded the zombies and started lobbing alcohol bottles to burn them, but the crowd was too thick. Akira and Beatrix tried to light matches, but the damn things wouldn't strike. The zombies started spilling over the barricades, heading straight for the fish. Beatrix broke down. It looked like game over. But Akira went full badass mode. "Coming this far and not eating sushi? I'd rather be a zombie," he roared. He jumped down to go hand to hand, and Beatrix, inspired, joined the fray without a second thought. They were still outnumbered until a drone buzzed overhead, carrying Beatrix's Walkman. Shizuka had cooked up a plan, used the music to lure the horde into one spot. Kencho dropped a light to the gasoline-soaked ground, and kaboom, the street turned into a giant bonfire. That night they finally ate. Akira looked like he'd ascended to heaven. The fish literally melted in his mouth. The chef had been honing his craft for 30 years, and it showed. Beatrix, with tears of pure joy streaming down her face, slowly dipped her sushi and took a bite. The chef was moved by her dedication. He never stopped working, not even when his daughter got married or when his wife passed away. He served his last regulars a feast and some good sake before the world ended. The next day, the heat was brutal. Akira decided they needed a break and headed for a hot spring onsen. Everyone was hyped, though Beatrix had to borrow some guy's swim gear that, well, let's just say it was dangerously small on her, with bits and pieces almost popping out. Back at the Black Company, Akira couldn't even dream of a view this majestic. Beatrix went full tour guide, explaining how these waters could cure anything except a broken heart. Kencho tried to shoot his shot and flirt, but it went way over her head. Akira, hearing the word love, stole a glance at Shizuka. For a split second, he caught her smiling. Akira felt a bit guilty, apologizing for dragging Shizuka to a spot that's basically a couple's getaway. Shizuka immediately shot him down with a frown. "Instead of wasting time on useless crap like romance, you should be investing in yourself and leveling up your skills. Get your bank account right first, then find a partner later." But Akira pushed back. "Actually, I think being with someone you love every day makes life way better. It gives you a reason to keep pushing, you know." Shizuka hit him with another life lecture, and he just scratched his cheek, silenced by her logic. They finally reached the massive outdoor hot spring. The boys didn't waste a second. They stripped and dove straight in. Shizuka tried to lead Beatrix to the women's side, but bad news. The pump was busted. No hot water. That meant the men's pool was the only functioning tub in the whole town. Akira and Kencho were practically drooling, trying to sound philosophical to bait the girls into joining them. Shizuka wasn't having it. "I am not getting in a tub with you perverted, hentai-brained animals." Beatrix, however, had a different take. She'd read about the ancient Japanese culture of mixed bathing and started stripping down right then and there. Before the boys could even get an eyeful, a horde of geeks showed up wanting to join the pool party. The group got cornered and had to ditch the RV, scrambling up the mountain to escape. Everyone was crying literal tears because their spa day was ruined. They spent the night camping out on the ridge, and around midnight, Akira woke up dying of thirst. He wandered around and bam, stumbled upon a hidden, natural hot spring right in the middle of the mountain. He couldn't resist. He dove in, soaking in the heat. Everything was chill until he bumped into something even hotter. It was Shizuka. She'd been soaking there long before him. Both of them turned beet red, paralyzed with embarrassment. But since neither wanted to give up the warm water, they ended up sitting there together. Shizuka laid down the law. "Don't you dare look this way." In the dead silence of the midnight forest, the awkwardness was thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, Shizuka broke the ice. She apologized for trashing his views on love earlier, admitting she's just a product of her father's cold personality. "I'm actually jealous of you, Akira. You don't care what anyone thinks. You just say what's on your mind. I'm just bad at romance, so I hide behind work and efficiency to act tough. But deep down, I'm just weak and scared of getting hurt. If I ever fall for someone, I hope it's someone I can talk to honestly, just like this." The air went still. A few seconds later, the weight of what she just said hit them both. Shizuka panicked. "Wait, that's not what I meant." While Akira's face turned into a tomato, it felt like he'd just been handed a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Of course, the romance was killed instantly when the other two idiots found the spring. Kencho looked at them, blushing in the dark, and smirked. "Whoa, since when did you two get like that?" They both flipped out, but in the end, the whole squad finally got the soak they'd been dreaming of. Episode 10. Akira remembered his dad's words before he left for college in Tokyo. "What are you planning to do up there? Is working in a factory really what you want? A man needs to dream big, kid. For a simple farmer, his dad sure had high expectations. Finally, the squad reached Akira's hometown. Kensho was already planning to perform a naked comedy routine for the parents while Shizuka teased Akira. Bet you're shaking in your boots since it's been so long, huh? Akira was a nervous wreck. How was he supposed to tell his dad he'd quit his job? But their luck turned sour fast. The tunnel into the village was barricaded and packed to the brim with zombies. It was a nightmare in there. Akira scanned the crowd and breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't recognize a single face from the village. The only other way in was a treacherous mountain trail through the forest. Shizuka tried to stay positive. Don't worry, with both sides of the tunnel blocked, the village is probably a safe zone. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the woods. An old man was being chased by a zombie boar. Beatrix shouted, "Get down!" and nailed the beast with a perfect arrow shot. The man turned out to be a master carpenter who fled the city to build a treehouse deep in the forest. He explained that oak trees make the best anchors because of their massive, heavy branches. Akira and Beatrix were instantly hooked. They begged to stay and help build it, a secret base where they could tune out the apocalypse and just vibe with nature. Akira had dreamed of building something like this his whole life. The old man taught them, the tree is the foundation. If the tree dies, the house falls. If you care for the tree and the ground beneath it, you're caring for the whole forest. Then you can hear the forest speak. Akira took that to heart. If you care for yourself and those around you, you'll learn to hear the world. The old man saw his own son in Akira. Tragically, he'd watched his wife turn and bite their son right in front of him. He had to put them both down with his own hands. He'd always dreamed of building a treehouse with his grown son after retirement. Akira promised to help him finish it so he wouldn't be alone. With the team's help, they finished it in record time. Swings, slides, hammocks, the whole 9 yards. Akira didn't stay the night, though. The man's story made him realize he needed to see his parents now. The final stretch was a death trap, a steep mountain ledge where one slip meant game over. Akira joked that locals called it Cannibal Pass because so many people had fallen to their deaths. After crossing a rickety old bridge, they finally saw the village. Akira looked down, wondering, have I ever actually done anything to repay my parents since I grew up? The village looked deserted with gear scattered everywhere. Akira sprinted home, praying, "Please be alive, please be alive." He burst through the door, only to find the village elders having a wild party inside. They pointed to the corner where his parents were sitting. Akira choked up, tears streaming down his face as he launched into a massive speech. "Mom, Dad, thank you for everything. I've been a terrible son, making you worry while I hid behind work for 3 years." He barely finished when, wham, his dad decked him right in the face, giving him a bloody nose. "The world is going to hell and you come back here just to spout that nonsense?" his dad barked. Then, as if nothing happened, he told Akira's friends to find a spare room and head to bed while he went back out to work the fields. Dinner was a feast of mountain greens and garden-fresh veggies. Kensho and Beatrix couldn't stop stuffing their faces. Since this village is basically cut off during winter anyway, the locals are masters of survival, living off the land long before the world ended. The blocked tunnel didn't bother them one bit. Turns out, the geeks in that tunnel were city folk who flocked here for safety, but one infected person turned the whole crowd. The villagers had no choice but to seal them in. With the village population shrinking for years, there's plenty of room for the lucky city survivors who actually made it through. While his friends went to soak in the hilltop views, Akira stayed behind, obsessed with being a good son. He helped his mom with the dishes, gave her gifts from Tokyo, and tried to rub her shoulders. "Honey, you're the one who just traveled across the country," she smiled. "Go take a load off." Then his dad walked in. "If you're so bored, get out to the field and help me out." Out in the dirt, Akira tried to make small talk. "How have you been? Is your back holding up?" His dad gave him nothing but one-word answers, eventually telling him to go wash his face because he was annoying. Akira felt like his parents were totally unimpressed with his return. But later that evening, his dad's face twisted in pain. His hands were covered in blood. "Not much time left," he muttered, shoving his hands in his pockets before Akira could see. On the way home, Akira noticed his dad acting strange. They passed a group of city guys, and one dude with a cigarette in his mouth caught Akira's eye. He looked familiar. Flashback to that smoker's life. He was a total NEET, not in education, employment, or training. It wasn't that he couldn't find work, he just felt every job was beneath his worth. He was a social outcast who lived for his cigarettes and wished life was just one long, carefree elementary school summer break. When the apocalypse hit, he didn't scream, he smirked. To him, the society that rejected him finally burned down. From that day on, every day was summer vacation. He started hoarding cigarettes and recruited 3 other social rejects he found hiding in a house. "Wanna come out and play?" he asked. Together they started their own 100 things to do before becoming a zombie list. But their list was a nightmare. Scam people, fire real guns, blow stuff up, burn down the old office, force a kiss on a crush, and slap the wife who used to nag them. For these losers, the end of the world was their first real chance to have fun. Akira just checked another item off the list: get dreadlocks. A girl from the city who spent 10 years as a pro-loctician did the honors. The other city survivors turned out to be a diverse bunch: a college professor and a movie makeup artist. The artist actually worked on the zombie flick Akira watched in episode 1. She was supposed to film the sequel when the real outbreak hit. She teared up just thinking about the horror of reality mimicking art. They're all so grateful for the village's open arms that they just want this peace to last forever. Meanwhile, Shizuka's playing homesteader, blowing on the hearth to get the fire going. Things got weird when an old man suddenly hugged her from behind, crying, "Why did you leave me?" Poor guy, S been lost since his wife passed, but he's still the best hunter in the village. Another villager rushed in with a nasty gash from a scythe. Shizuka stepped up, warning them not to use a tourniquet unless necessary to avoid necrosis. Instead, she had them elevate the limb above the heart and apply pressure. Her childhood medical obsession finally paid off, and before she knew it, she had a line of villagers waiting for a checkup. Kensho was busy holding his nose over a literal shit pit. "It's liquid gold for the crops," the locals told him. "Fall in and you'll have good luck," he joked. He ran into a city girl whose parents didn't make it. Her dog is her only family, and she hasn't smiled since. Kensho, being the showman, tried to win her over with some juggling. "Usually I do this naked, but I move so fast it's PG-rated," he joked. The girl asked if he was some kind of creep, but Kensho played it smooth. "Doesn't matter if you're a girl or a lady, it's bad manners not to greet a woman with a compliment." Finally, he cracked her shell and got her to laugh. Beatrix was geeking out over the water wheels acting as hydroelectric generators. They've even got an electric fence to keep out zombie bears and boars, though it's only set to tingle for humans. The locals warned her never to touch the grounding breaker, the safety switch that cuts the power if the voltage gets too high or leaks. The city folk here have realized one thing: survival takes hard work and teamwork. That evening, Kensho and Akira spotted a familiar face, Higurashi. Kensho shouted a greeting, but the second Higurashi saw Akira, his face twisted in disgust and he bolted without a word. They were all in the same general ed class in college. Higurashi dropped out after 6 months and became a NEET. Seeing them reminded him of how much he hated them, always the popular rugby stars, always smiling, always winning. It burned him up. Later, Akira shared some sake with his dad. He noticed how thin his father's hands were and how much gray had taken over his hair. "Since when did you get so small, Dad?" Akira thought. He told his dad that even though he used to crave the city, the village life isn't so bad and he wants to stay and help out. But his dad shut him down. "Don't rot in this tiny village. A man should dream big and live large." Akira snapped back. "You're just a farmer, why the big talk?" Then he asked his dad what his dream was. After a long-winded story about the cosmos, his dad admitted, "I wanted to be an astronaut, but I was too dumb for the books." They finally shared a real laugh together. His dad even roasted Akira's new hair. "That look doesn't suit you at all." Bucket list item 31, checked. But while they were laughing, the social rejects were making their move. The girl from Higurashi's group snuck into the storehouse, stole the keys, and cranked the grounding breaker to the max before smashing it to pieces. She met the rest of the crew at the tunnel. They used the stolen keys to fire up the vehicles and clear the barricade. Their final mission on the list: total annihilation of society. The zombies are coming. Higurashi wasn't just here to survive, he was here for payback. He wanted to watch the Golden Boys suffer. Before long, a low, haunting moan echoed through the valley. The villagers looked out and saw a literal ocean of zombies chasing down 3 panicked locals. Higurashi and his crew stood on their truck, laughing like maniacs. Shizuka started barking orders for everyone to lock their doors, but she was jumped by a small group of geeks. Luckily, the villagers didn't play around. They grabbed shovels and pickaxes, taking the monsters down old school. The hunting squad lined up for headshots, but the horde was just too thick. To make it worse, Higurashi's gang started lobbing explosives and spraying live ammo everywhere. It was pure, unadulterated carnage. Kensho grabbed the little girl he'd met earlier and ran for his life with Beatrix covering their 6. When the group reunited, Beatrix pointed out the electric fence. "It's just for boars, it won't kill us. We can evacuate everyone over it." Kensho, being the guinea pig, touched it to check. Bam, he nearly got fried instantly. Shizuka had to tackle him with a non-conductive pole to save his life. The fence is live, she realized. Someone cranked the voltage and busted the breaker. It's not a shield anymore, it's a cage. That's when Higurashi's voice boomed over the chaos. Still alive, huh? Impressive. He didn't hide it. Yeah, we did this. Back in college, you always pissed me off, Akira. Always smiling, always living your best life while I rotted. I just wanted to have fun like you guys for once. Akira shot back that everyone should live their truth, but not by trashing other people's freedom. Fine, Higurashi smirked. Let's see whose bucket list wins. The team split up. Beatrix sprinted for the water wheel to cut the power. Kensho had to chase after the little girl who had disappeared again. Akira bolted to save his parents. They agreed to meet at the suspension bridge, while the villains started dragging people out of their homes to use as zombie snacks. Back in the village, Akira's dad collapsed, clutching his side in agony, but he refused to stay down. Meanwhile, Akira was a one-man army, swinging a pickaxe and soloing a swarm of zombies from all sides. He found Kensho, who had finally tracked down the girl. Why did she run? To find her dog. And of course the dog was just chilling, riding a chicken like it was a pony. Kensho covered her mouth as a zombie passed by. "SHHH, your mom and dad are gone," he whispered. "I'm all you've got left." But her sobbing drew the horde in, forcing them onto a rooftop. They thought they were safe. Zombies can't climb, but one of Higurashi's goons climbed up after them. "You're gonna be as miserable as I was when society kicked me to the curb," he screamed, trying to shove Kensho off the edge. On her way to the generator, Beatrix got cut off by the female member of Higurashi's crew, who was driving a tractor like a war rig. Beatrix got knocked off her horse, and the woman lunged at her with a chainsaw, snapping Beatrix's weapon in half. It was a clash of styles. A Sengoku-era enthusiast versus a girl who spent 2 years in the top 4 of the National High School Kendo Championships. Shizuka was pounding on doors, pleading with the elderly to leave, but they just looked at her with tired eyes. "Life is short, kid. Don't worry about us old-timers, just save yourself." The zombies started splintering the wooden doors, driving Shizuka crazy. Finally, she snapped. She chose to lead the horde away from the houses, ditching her risk management logic entirely. Akira's influence had officially rubbed off on her. At Akira's house, his dad was desperately holding the door shut, but the wood was giving way. Just as the zombies broke through, Akira arrived and smashed their skulls in. "I haven't made enough money to send home yet," he roared. "I haven't taken you guys on a world tour. I haven't even given you grandkids because I don't have a girlfriend. I have too many things left to do while you're still healthy." His dad didn't get emotional. He just grabbed Akira, shoved him inside to protect his mother, and stepped out to lock the door from the outside. "If you have that much left to do, you can't go down before us old folks," he barked. The scene shifted to a flashback of Higurashi's married goon. He wanted a peaceful home, but it was a living hell. He'd spend all his time in bars or his car just to avoid his wife, who constantly nagged him about other men getting promoted. Their marriage was nothing but bitterness and sarcasm. "Why should I work for a home with no love?" he'd wondered. Now he was taking all that buried rage out on Kensho. Shizuka was hiding in the cornfield when one of the creeps found her, drooling like a rabid dog. To him, being alone with a young girl in the middle of nowhere was his grand prize. He was tired of being a broke, lonely loser. Flashback to his job at a restaurant. He was slow, had the memory of a goldfish, and was dumb enough to smoke in the kitchen. He burned the whole place down and got fired, but in his twisted head it wasn't his fault. Why's everyone so pissed? It was just a cigarette. I'm the victim here because I lost my job. Meanwhile, Beatrix and the Kendo girl were in a literal death match. The whine of the chainsaw drew in a swarm of geeks. The woman screamed that she was fighting for justice. Back in her office days, she was a toxic perfectionist, forcing everyone to follow her righteous rules until they were miserable. To her, people were just too spoiled, and her tyranny was for the greater good. Over with Kensho, his opponent was still whining about his failed marriage. I stayed out late on my birthday and she got mad. I spend all day pleasing people I hate. Kensho didn't back down. Talk all the trash you want, but did you ever buy her a flower for your anniversary? Did you ever listen to why she was unhappy or treat her like the best woman in the world? You never tried to love, you just wanted to be pampered. As the guy tried to shove him off, Kensho dragged them both down into the manure pit. Kensho stripped naked and dove into the filth to mask his scent and body heat. The zombies ignored him entirely and swarmed the other guy. The creep bolted for the electric fence in a panic and got fried to a crisp. Kensho crawled out, covered in black sludge, looking so gross even the little girl wanted to stay 10 feet away. Back in the village, the master hunter woke up and gave the elders a reality check. "We've survived a lifetime of hardship. Are we really gonna let a bunch of stiffs win just because we're old?" he barked. Shizuka was busy trying to reason with the pervert in the cornfield, but he just shoved a gun to her head. Bang! A shot grazed his hand. The hunter had arrived. The elders stormed in, saving their doctor girl and giving the creep a beatdown he'd never forget. "In the clash of cultures," Beatrix schooled the kendo girl. "In Germany, we walk and smoke, we litter, it's normal. Cashiers chew gum while serving you, but vacuuming on a Sunday when people want peace, that's a crime there. Your righteousness is just a perspective." She leaped onto the water wheel, using the weight of the climbing zombies to smash the generator and cut the power. In a world this big, nobody is 100% right. Next time you force your justice on someone, check yourself first. The kendo girl got buried under a mountain of zombies, while Beatrix rode the wheel like a carousel since she couldn't jump down. Finally, at Akira's house, his dad ordered him to stay inside and took on 7 zombies with nothing but a pitchfork. He was exhausted, with only 3 left to go, when that mysterious pain flared up again, sending him to his knees. Just as the zombies lunged, Higurashi appeared and saved him, but it was a trap. Knowing how stubborn Akira is, he gave him a twisted choice. "I can either kick your old man into the pit, or you can walk out that door and let a zombie bite you. Come on, Akira. Save your dad, be a hero." Episode 12. Flashback. Back in elementary school, Higurashi was just a normal kid spending his summer breaks at the pool until the sun went down. But by middle school, his introverted shell hardened, leaving him isolated. He spent high school buried in books and music, never uttering a word. In college, he tried to fix himself, study abroad, volunteering, self-help seminars, but nothing clicked. Then he saw Akira and his squad, laughing and living for the moment with zero vision or grand dreams. That lack of worry, that pure joy, triggered something ugly in Higurashi, a burning, toxic envy. Back at the house, Akira's dad was laying it on the line. "Don't you dare open that door. If you die before us, I'll disown you in the afterlife." He revealed he was dying, and with no doctors in the village, he'd accepted his fate. He told Akira to be someone who helps society, to live so his parents could watch him with pride from heaven. Not a chance, Akira thought. He chose to open the door anyway. Zombies swarmed in, screams erupted. Then a blood-soaked figure stumbled out into the light. Higurashi laughed like a maniac. "Finally, no more of that annoying smile. You're just another mindless monster now." But as he got close, the zombie lunged and tackled him. Gotcha. It was a total setup. The movie makeup artist had worked her magic with fake bruises, laundry detergent for that sticky blood texture, and alcohol-based stains for the teeth. They'd lured the real geeks in and took them out. Dad was safe. Watching Akira celebrate with his family sent Higurashi into a spiral of despair. Akira asked him, "If this is what you really wanted, why do you look so miserable?" Suddenly, a stray zombie bit Higurashi's leg. He kicked it away, sobbing on the ground as the horde closed in. In his final moments, he realized his true bucket list item was simple. He just wanted to be back at the pool with friends. He remembered college, when Akira heard his stomach growl and invited him to lunch. Higurashi had run away back then, but now he wished he'd just said yes. "If I ever turn," Akira promised, "let's hit the pool together." Higurashi shoved Akira away, making a final, desperate run to lure the horde away, eventually throwing himself into the river, fulfilling his dream of swimming one last time. The village evacuation was pure chaos. Beatrix went full warrior mode, driving the water wheel through the electric fence to clear a path. The young carried the old, sprinting for the suspension bridge, only to find it had been cut. Hope was fading until the old man from the treehouse showed up. He found the noise annoying, saw the bridge was out, and built a brand new one on the fly. Pro-carpenter moves. Akira and Kencho held the lines, ensuring everyone crossed before swinging across the chasm themselves, slamming into the rock face, painful but alive. Akira had done it. He'd saved the village. His dad finally admitted it. "You're a son to be proud of." The village began to rebuild. The treehouse master moved in to help with construction. Shizuka opened a clinic to breathe life back into the elderly. The little girl with the dog finally smiled thanks to Kencho's stand-up comedy. Item, become a comedian, checked. Then came the big reveal. Akira's dad wasn't dying of some mysterious plague. He had hemorrhoids. Massive bleeding, it hurts to stand hemorrhoids. Akira went from sobbing to stunned. His new mission, travel Japan, find a vaccine, save the world, and then find a doctor to fix his dad's backside. His dad actually smirked. Now that's a grand dream. The squad sat down to update the bucket list. Shizuka added, become a doctor. Kencho, make the whole country laugh. Beatrix, restore Japan's beauty. As they prepared to leave, the little girl ran to Kencho. Instead of crying, she shouted, when you come back, you better show me that trick where you eat noodles with your butt. Akira's mom packed enough canned food to feed an army. Their destination, maybe a CDC lab or a US military base. Akira didn't care. It's a road trip, we're heading north. Let's see where the wind takes us. Across the country, familiar faces were carving their own paths. The girl from the aquarium was now a zombie-slaying badass, redeeming her past. The baseball players were finding honest work. Even the couple from the suburbs, the guy with the bucket on his head and the girl he saved, they were all still fighting. But Akira's crew, they were doing it differently, driving their RV across the horizon, dodging gangs and smashing through roadblocks. From the outside, it didn't look like they were carrying the weight of the world. It looked like the greatest road trip in history.